Don't just follow the trend. You may have heard me say that it's good to think in terms of the physics approach of first principles, which is rather than reasoning by analogy, you boil things down to the most fundamental truths you can imagine and you reason up from there. Don't just follow the trend. You may have heard me say that it's good to think in terms of the physics approach of first principles, which is rather than reasoning by analogy, you boil things down to the most fundamental truths you can imagine and you reason up from there. The revolutionary breakthrough will come with rockets that are fully and rapidly reusable. We will never conquer Mars unless we do that. It'll be too expensive. The American colonies would never have been pioneered if the ships that crossed the ocean hadn't been reusable. If anyone thinks they'd rather be in a different part of history, they're probably not a very good student of history. Life sucked in the old days. People knew very little, and you were likely to die at a young age of some horrible disease. You'd probably have no teeth by now. It would be particularly awful if you were a woman. If you go back a few hundred years, what we take for granted today would seem like magic. Being able to talk to people over long distances, to transmit images, flying, accessing vast amounts of data like an oracle. These are all things that would have been considered magic a few hundred years ago. I think that's an important thing to do, to really pay attention to negative feedback and solicit it, particularly from friends. This may sound like simple advice, but hardly anyone does that, and it's incredibly helpful. The revolutionary breakthrough will come with rockets that are fully and rapidly reusable. We will never conquer Mars unless we do that. It'll be too expensive. The American colonies would never have been pioneered if the ships that crossed the ocean hadn't been reusable. I think we should be very careful about artificial intelligence. If I had to guess at what our biggest existential threat is, it's probably that. So we need to be very careful. With artificial intelligence, we're summoning the demon. I think it's important to reason from first principles rather than by analogy. The normal way we conduct our lives is we reason by analogy. With analogy, we are doing this because it's like something else that was done, or it is like what other people are doing. With first principles, you boil things down to the most fundamental truths and then reason up from there. My motivation for all my companies has been to be involved in something that I thought would have a significant impact on the world. One bit of advice: it is important to view knowledge as sort of a semantic tree. Make sure you understand the fundamental principles, i.e., the trunk and big branches, before you get into the leaves details, or there is nothing for them to hang on to. Welcome to the new era of video creation with Hey Gen. Simply type your script to get started. Focus on something that has high value to someone else. Be really rigorous in making that assessment, because natural human tendency is wishful thinking. So the challenge to entrepreneurs is telling what's the difference between really believing in your ideals and sticking to them, as opposed to pursuing some unrealistic dream that doesn't actually have merit. Be very rigorous in your self-analysis, certainly being extremely tenacious, and just work like hell. Put in 80 to 100 hours every week. All these things improves the odds of success. The biggest mistake in general I've made is to put too much of a weighting on someone's talent and not enough on their personality. and I've made that mistake several times. I think it actually matters whether somebody has a good heart. It really does. I've made the mistake of thinking that it's sometimes just about the brain. Starting and growing a business is as much about the innovation, drive, and determination of the people who do it as it is about the product they sell. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. Work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100-hour weeks every week. This improves the odds of success. If other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that you will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve. For me, it was never about money, but solving problems for the future of humanity. When you struggle with a problem, that's when you understand it. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough.
If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not.
The first step is to establish that something is possible, then probability will occur. The first step is to establish that something is possible, then probability will occur.
I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary.